Kia ora koutou. Welcome back to Meg and Fiona. We are now in public session and we have a presentation today from the Nelson Regional Development Agency. We are looking today at the annual report and outcomes of consultation on the regeneration plan and NRDA's 6 monthly update. So Meg, I'll hand over to you, and Fiona.
Kia ora. Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Meg Matthews toko ingo, ko o te tia mana o te poare o NRDA. Nō reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. As Chair of NRDA, it's my pleasure to present the annual report for the 12 months ended 30 June 2021 on behalf of the Board and the NRDA team. We've already had our AGM, and thank you to those of you that attended in person. I'll try not to repeat too much from the AGM, as I'm keen for Fiona to share some of the more strategic initiatives that she's implemented since 30 June. But what a 12 months to 30 June they were. So much has happened, it's definitely worth a recap. In the year ended, it included both unprecedented challenges to our community and economy, alongside external acknowledgement of the exceptional levels of collaboration. For the second consecutive year, NRDA was awarded Best Practice Award for Collaboration by Economic Development New Zealand. Through 2020 and 2021, and for the foreseeable future, NRDA's activities have and will continue to be focused on leading the region's collaborative response to COVID, to support recovery, regeneration and strengthening the resilience of our region. NRDA has led the development of the draft Nelson Tasman Regeneration Plan that presents the regional aspirations for the next 10 years. This plan was prepared under the auspice of the Project Kokiri Leadership Group and is set within the context of the Te Tau Ihu Intergenerational Strategy. The Regeneration Plan, with a 10-year horizon, demonstrates joined-up thinking across Nelson Tasman and provides an effective platform for central government investment into our region. I'd also like to take this opportunity to formally thank Johnny O'Donnell and Ali Boswick for working so hard in and alongside our team in this response. So the year began with major apprehension about how the economy would unfold. We saw a 250% increase in demand for our RVP program, which delivers R&D funding and capability development support across the wide spectrum of businesses across our region. Despite this additional demand, the Net Promoter Score reflects customer satisfaction was 100 out of a benchmark of 60, a feat not achieved by any other region in New Zealand. The Mahitahi CoLab quickly became headquarters for the region's economic response to COVID, and even with alert level disruptions, the CoLab hosted more than 66 events and over 2,400 attendees. And with even more collaboration, the PIC Nelson Tasman Seasonal Worker Attraction Campaign was a crucial intervention into the region's seasonal labour challenges and attracted high-profile national media coverage. The campaign was hailed as a success by the Minister of Social Development and Employment during question time in Parliament. Building on that success, a new partnership with the seafood sector was established to deliver a Catch a Job campaign, which focused on job opportunities in our local seafood sector and made 36 successful job placements. The Nelson Tasman Intern Program ran for its third successful summer, with 10 interns employed across a range of employers and industries around the region. The Education to Employment brokerage service exceeded expectations, culminating in a standout Fantastic Futures conference in April. The inaugural Intelligent Guardians event was delivered as part of Tech Week, and this showcased how our region's businesses utilise science and technology to protect and prosper. Events such as this not only create opportunities for local business leaders to connect and collaborate, but it also helps profile our region's business story and investment proposition. You'll all be familiar with our campaign Kia Tātou, We've Got This, which showcased local businesses and regional offerings to more than 1 million people. Despite COVID continuing to affect events throughout the year, the major events program exceeded targets and secured a return on investment ratio of 33:1, significantly above target. Business events also exceeded target, attracting more than 2,800 out-of-town delegates during the shoulder season. And thanks to Minister Nash, we secured funding to develop the Destination Management Plan, which is built on the strong foundations from years of support, association and collaboration with operators in the visitor sector. As part of that Destination Management Plan, the team developed and launched a zero carbon itinerary, which was nominated as finalist in the 2021 New Zealand Tourism Awards and subsequently won the award last week. Initiatives like this have positioned Nelson Tasman as a leading region in the development of light footprint travel. Despite ongoing COVID impacts and its lingering effects, the board is proud of the team who achieved 36 of the 44 performance measures with an achievement rate of 82%. Of the 8 KPMs not achieved due to factors outside of our control, 5 were entirely due to COVID impacts and 3 due to funding and or change of national programs or policy. You'll remember in December, Mark Rawson resigned to move closer to family in Waikato. Following an extensive search process, which included looking offshore, the board were delighted to appoint Fiona Wilson into the position. And in May, Fiona moved from Tasmania with her family and hit the ground running. Fiona's immersed herself across the challenges we face as a region, introduced herself to most of the business leaders and recognised the opportunities we have in front of us. I would like to thank and acknowledge Tony Power for her dedication as interim chief executive following Mark's departure and ahead of Fiona's arrival. Not only that, she managed a clean audit and successfully delivered a balanced budget at EBITDA level. And finally, as shareholder, thank you for your ongoing funding. In a year when private sector support has been highly constrained, the support of the New Zealand government has also been critical to supporting our activities. Kia ora.
Thank you, Meg, and acknowledge all of the team who are there in the boardroom, and welcome Sarah Jane. We are one of your fellow board members. Look, it's an exceptionally successful and positive year that has benefited everyone throughout the region. There are very few organisations that have a net promoter score of 100. That is something for us all to aspire to. So actually brilliant result, and great to see that recognition in the New Zealand Tourism Awards last week. It really was absolutely the kind of approach to caring for our environment that we endorse as a council. I'm happy to take questions on at this point, or I can hold the questions if you'd like until we've finished all of the presentations. What would you prefer?
Yeah, we're happy to take questions as well.
Okay, as we go. So, kia ora, Marina. Welcome to our meeting. All right, any questions? There are no questions. It was a very clear presentation. I know several of us were at your meeting, so thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next item.
Kia ora, Fiona Wilson, tapu ingoa. Please can I also introduce my colleagues who are in the room next to us actually. Tony Power, Mark Maguire, Hannah Norton, Sarah Fitchett and Tracy Nielsen in her new role as our Visitor Destination Manager. Although Tracy has been with us 11 years, so thank you. Thank you, Meg, for going through the annual report. I don't know if you can see the slides, and if you can, if I could please go to slide 12. I'm not sure what you can see. Great. And I know you've had the slides in your pack, so largely will have read, but I'm also conscious you have a huge agenda pack, so may not have done. The first thing I'd like to go through, the previous slide, is just I want to go through the regeneration plan and the outcome for the consultation. The last time we presented to you, councillors endorsed the draft consultation, the draft regeneration plan going out to consultation, and we've now completed that process working with Johnny O'Donnell. We've, as well as being open for feedback, we've concluded 14 workshops and overall a well-received positioning and narrative and direction. So we are confident we have a well-endorsed draft plan. The main significant shifts and enhancements are in the areas of getting greater emphasis in building intellectual capital and knowledge economy throughout the plan, as opposed to a distinct stream, to get stronger articulation around circular economy, get more specific on climate change emissions and adaptation, stronger emphasis on inclusive and equitable outcomes, and particularly, quote, that we should be louder and more urgent on housing and livability. that to get sharper in our project list, and that we should be clearly results focused. Other points included the importance of aligning with Te Tawahu priorities as a whole, and that our Maori economic development focused should be well connected. And one of the recommendations from the consultation was that we should aim to achieve a senior Maori business advisor in the NRDA team. Of the projects listed, the sort of top priorities that bubbled up was rural connectivity advocacy, blue economy advancement, and stronger emphasis on makers and creators. So the next steps now is to build all that in, and also to take the opportunity to strengthen some of the focus on our sectors, and to get a stronger emphasis at the front end on some of the economic information. When the plan was drafted, the language was post-COVID and recovery. And when it was first drafted, it was a 5-year plan. It was during the process of drafting, just before we went out to consultation and came to council, it was 10 years. So we want to put that lens across it as well. So the proposal is that we work really hard over the next couple of months, build all that in, and have it finalised at the end of Q1. I think the fact that we're in a really strong context of a really strong draft and the right parameters, but what was really clear was the absolute support in terms of the wellbeing direction, the much broader framework than a traditional economic strategy, and the longer term view. So if councillors would be happy, we're keen to come back at the end of Q1 with the finalised plan. So that's that item. If I could please move to the next slide, and to move to the summary of the last 5 months. So very conscious that we will be coming, that's great, thanks. Very conscious that we will be coming to you with a 6-month report in detail, but that won't be until February, March. So this is a great opportunity to check in on what we've been up to for the last 5 months. If I just go forward, that's it, just there. So in terms of context, noting that this is the first period of delivery under the new 3-year statement of intent. Really great to have the 3 years set rather than an annual one. So I thank you for that. The first 5 months, so there we are once again into lockdown and COVID and business as usual, but needing flexibility as well. And again, when the SOI started, we referred to post-COVID and post-COVID recovery, and that's not the case. This is ongoing. And one project which I'd quickly mention in terms of quick rollout and flexibility. Meg just mentioned that we've got this campaign. This was to roll out with Anna Hannah's leadership the We've Got You, which was the second next version, which I'm sure you've all seen, with a strong emphasis on buy local, support local, really strong uptake, followed up by a second one in terms of the money go round and the importance of local spend. The impact on business and economic performance as context, you know, you're all aware and heard about the impact of business in its many different forms. It's sort of come through in waves, I think, but each wave doesn't dissipate before the next one comes in. Until lockdown, when lockdown first happened, it was the immediate response of being locked down, access to things like the wage subsidy and information. And what the team really noticed was a difference to last time. This time it's more familiar with where the information was available and access to sources, so fewer calls. But also what came out clearly were the sectors or businesses it didn't work for. And we've heard a lot about the difficulties of some accommodation providers in particular, or in tourism sector as well, in some of our luxury accommodation providers, which sounds luxury, but really wholly dependent on the international market, and the wage subsidy wasn't helping with that. So we had that, and then the ongoing wave of the supply chain disruption, the freight disruption, and the skills pressures. And now most recently, businesses navigating the COVID protection framework and the many different scenarios. What we are doing there is making sure that we're keeping the information going as we get it. We are part of the regional leadership group and the communications group, and we're just working with all other agencies and council to make sure we're getting consistent information out. But also note in this the impact that event cancellations and postponements have had. At one point it was one a day. I think Tracy might agree with me. And we have been working really hard to reschedule and to keep bidding, and you know, things like the government support for a bit of insurance for large events to happen has helped. But you know, even in Nelson alone, those Nelson City supported events, the impact's over $9 million of lost spend in this period. So it's a direct effect and has really impacted accommodation providers as well. The overall picture through the quarterly economic monitor is again one of overall looks not too bad compared to the rest of New Zealand and actually outperforming in a number of the indicators. It does indicate, recognise the very tight labour market and unemployment around about 3.5%. This is one of the reasons why this quarter we have started and delivering in partnership with the Chamber and supported by NBS, the Nelson Tasman Business Panel Survey. The purpose of this survey is to look a bit deeper, to hear directly from businesses across sectors, across the region, and different types of businesses and size, to monitor issues and to test issues. So we've just had the results from the first survey back, and we're just analysing them now. If any businesses are out there listening to this, I really encourage you to please join the panel and join that. We'd like to get to 500. We're at about 290 at the moment, which is a good number, but we want to keep building it. It's going to be an ongoing panel and ongoing survey. So we're really keen for anybody to be part of that. If I could just turn to the next slide, please. In strategy, I've talked about the regeneration plan, but I'd really like to highlight the work we've started in the supporting the Maori economy side, which is a new focus under the SOI that Council was is important to all of us. We've kicked this off with a 2 days of professional development and regional stakeholder work. The photograph there is the cohort undertaking the EDNZ to Maori Economic Development Training. Joining us, we're really delighted with 2 of our iwi GMs and our Public Service Commissioner and colleagues from Marlborough and from other areas. So our whole leadership team now has been trained in this professional development aspect, as well as other members of our NRDA team. So we'll now build on this in Q2 and take this forward in very close partnership and coordination with Maori Business Network, with iwi. And part of the big purpose of this day was we wanted to do this and be effective where we could be most effective, and that the partnership and collaboration of this is so important that we get this right. I'll go down the slide if I could, please. Through the Mahi Tahi CoLab, we've continued to support a range of innovation-focused programs. I would like to specifically mention in the area of investment, the work that the NRDA has led for the region in responding to Kanoa's Strategic Partnership Fund. This is Te Tauihu-wide, and we need to identify our strategic priority projects that we would put forward for investment, as well as work with major industry across key sectors to try and facilitate funding. Now, the limitations of this fund have set big challenges for us. Nevertheless, this is an opportunity for us to get our priorities in front of government, whichever government department. We are waiting to hear what the next step of the fund is, but in the meantime, we're starting to develop the business cases for those projects for Nelson Tasman. And supporting this, we've just developed a new economic impact assessment model for Nelson Tasman, so we can actually run our own economic impact assessments against our projects. And the team is just getting trained in using that, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with council colleagues. If I could, I'll stay on that slide actually, thanks. I would highlight oceans economy as a focus area in terms of our investment stream that we've commenced work on. We've kicked this off with a blue economy cluster industry consultation workshop in the last few weeks with about 40 stakeholders, with positive support about working forward collaboratively. And we'll now be taking this forward and testing how the model of a cluster might work for this region. This is in strong context of the Science Tech Precinct and opportunities for developing proposition for the region in Q1 next year. But this is an important area of work. Oceans economy is this region's #1 in terms of comparative advantage. And we want other regions across the world to be putting us up in a slide as an oceans tech cluster, and not just looking at other regions on slides here. As we face skill shortages, an immediate project which we're just about to roll out, which is the second version of the Pick Nelson Tasman project. This will launch on the 17th of January. It's responding again to very significant concern across the sector about skill shortages and the importance of getting this fruit off the plants and to market. It's been run in partnership with MSD and industry. NRDA is providing the in-kind project management, MSD is providing the recruitment support, and industry has raised $70,000 for the creative and marketing spend. The impact of not getting this fruit picked extends far beyond the orchards, to our pack houses, to port operations, and Hannah's been very closely involved with that. If I could turn to the next slide, please. In our destination management area, and visitor industry support has also been extremely busy space. There's been a lot of work working with businesses navigating this period, but also strong strategic focus. There's a number of highlights on the slide, which you can see and have in your pack. I would also especially like to highlight the winning of the award under the TIA for the zero carbon itinerary. Since the award was submitted, the number of businesses involved have doubled, and we keep growing that. And the reason it's fantastic to win it, but the reason it's so important is it's such a good example of the destination management approach for this region, and of the region's approach to collaboration, which makes it the third collaboration award in 2 years. So no pressure on me coming in. The next slide, please. Thank you. And the final slide, I would like to highlight the continued work in our business support, in our R&D and education to employment space. The Regional Business Partners Programme continues to deliver strongly in bringing R&D funding to our region. A big focus this quarter has been the preparation of our bid for the next 3 years. And if you ask me about red flags, this is one of them, as it's so important that this programme is led through the regional EDAs in their region of delivery. The last point I put on there is about workforce change. I just want to take this opportunity. We, like other areas, are facing skills pressures, and I want to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge Hannah, who is leaving the NIDA at the end of the month to join Aura. And I just wanted to acknowledge the work that Hannah's done over the last 4 years to support the region through some very, very difficult times. Thank you.
Fiona, thank you. That's just an incredibly comprehensive summary of all of the work that is occurring, and the criticality of partnership you focused on. You'd made a comment around your red flag item was the Regional Business Partner Program. Do you want to just expand on that a little bit more for us?
Yes, thank you. So the program, this region, under Mark's leadership, Mark's on the screen there, has been 1 and 2 in terms of performance across the country for several years. The issue is that it's contract based, and the next 3 years is coming up, and other parties will bid for the contract. The threat we face as a region that is if it goes, should not go to us because it's so core to economic development, to taking a strategic picture with our big players, but it's also if it goes to quite, it's not led led outside the region. We visited a company recently who have RBP support, but for historical reasons, they're one of only a couple of companies in the region. Their leadership and contact is actually in Canterbury. And the difference it was, although they had information about RBP, they hadn't been connected into any of our other broader regional programs. This particular company suddenly thinks they might be flavouring them up, they're invited to things. It's because in going through the Strategic Partnership Fund process, their name came aware of us. Although Mark's aware of this, he's not worked with them directly. And so we've not been able to hook them into all the other things that we would hook companies into, or to get that cross-linkage in issues. So the RBP programme is so important. It has been such a core part of NRD's delivery over the last, over 5 years, Mark will correct me. And so this is a red flag for us. Unfortunately, the bid that was meant to be in last month has now been deferred until February. And so it defers the uncertainty, and it defers us being able to plan properly for next year. It doesn't defer us hanging on to our great staff, but it is a concern for the region. I know I've spoken to the mayor and thank you. We're reading support across the region for the bid, but it is a red flag for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Fiona, who's the decision maker on this funding?
It's a combined. It's a panel. So the program now sits under MB, and it's a panel with MB and Callaghan staff. Mark, do you want to add anything to that through your chair?
Kia ora. Nothing further to add. That's a good coverage, Fiona. There are a total of 10 on the evaluation panel for the future RBP programs. I think 5 of those are MB personnel. There is 2 external advisors and 3 Callaghan personnel. So yeah, so February, end of February, we'll have a good steer on next stages.
Thank you, Mark. And look, I just want to really endorse how successful this has been. I get regular feedback from businesses that have been involved in the RBP program with you, and just how much difference it makes to them and the collaboration that goes from the work that you're doing. So I certainly endorse your bid and really hope that it's received favourably by that very wise group of people. We'll hope for the best for that, and we see a result of February. All right. Look, I'll just see if there's any questions in terms of this part of the presentation from the elected members. Any questions? Go to the Deputy Mayor. I think she's got a question.
You sort of said at this part of the presentation, and I wanted to ask about the destination management plan.
All right. Do you want you're happy to speak to that now, Fiona, or do you want to do some presentation on that?
I'll speak to that, and I will also pass it to Tracy. So, destination management plan, it's terrific. We secured the second stage of reset funding to enable us to roll out the first year of the plan. We've established the reference group across industry for Nelson Tasman for the plan. It's a good, strong schedule of deliverables, which Tracy will attest to. Tracy's come on to right at the beginning of the rollout of the plan. It's this very strong focus on locals at the centre and at the heart of it, environment at the heart. It's taking a longer term view. Destination management planning, of course, is not a new concept, but what is new is the rollout right across the country and funding for these plans to be delivered in every region. The challenge we have, and it's another red flag I'll raise, is that the funding support for the destination management plan stops in August at this stage. But this is about resetting, and industry won't have reset by then, and this is a long-term game. So we are speaking with Artons, and they're speaking with government about this, and I'm very conscious, and thank you for the Mayor for raising this in the Southern Mayors Forum recently. But I might just quickly pass to Tracy, if I may, to give an update on where things are at, because it is fast moving at the moment.
So we are working with a reference group. Alan Bray from Nelson City Council is part of that reference group. DOC, key stakeholders from Nelson Airport through to Department of Conservation. Basically the last couple of weeks there's been a little bit of COVID response, but there's a few projects that will start moving along quite quickly, including art strategy, things like that. So working as quickly as we can to get it delivered, but with the objective of looking at sustainable funding after August 22.
First one is maybe an apology for my memory, but because it does say it's come to council, and I don't actually recall seeing this come to council, but that could just be me, but it says it's come to council. I don't remember it. But I'm just looking at some of the sort of the key features, and they feel very Tasman focused. Great Taste Trail, Able Tasman National Park, Nelson Lakes National Park, hiking, kayaking, etc. Puponga Farm. There feels like there's a very strong Tasman focus. Just wondering where the balance with Nelson is.
Sure. I think we've touched on this before, that Nelson is the entry point. So all those people who go to the Able Tasman generally have a night either side. Their expenditure is in Nelson City. We're also looking, if you keep delving deeper, about extending the hills out towards the Brook Sanctuary. The reality is some of our assets are over there, but we do find all our data would suggest that those visitors start and end in Nelson. We're working closely with Uniquely Nelson, those sorts of things. Inclusive and accessible tourism is something we're looking at right across the way. That project's a wee way down the track. That starts right across the region.
And did this come to council, or is that just?
I'm just going to ask the officer, Ms. McDonald, if we received the destination management plan. I'll just have to go back and check. I'm sure that we have, and whether I thought it was being circulated around the time we circulated the annual report, but if it's not, we'll put it on SharePoint now. I don't think it's come to a meeting. I certainly don't think was there intent?
No, I don't think there was, it definitely hasn't come to a meeting, as the annual report hasn't either. And I think the idea was we were just circulating documents and there would be the discussion at this meeting here.
Oh, okay. I sort of thought we'd maybe input into it, but okay, so that's too late. Okay, thank you.
Actually, if I may, Chair, so the destination plan, actually the content and priorities in it are actually embedded in the SOI. They are our destination management plan, part of the SOI. We haven't formally presented it for endorsement, but it has been sent into council. But we'll rectify that as soon as possible. But it is of course it is a whole of Nelson Tasman plan, but very much. That the benefits must be Nelson and Tasman as a whole, and not be, not be skewed. But certainly, it's a whole of Nelson Tasman reference group. But also, in addition, Tracy's mentioning Cable Bay and the broader package. So we will be absolutely making sure that it's Nelson and Tasman, and it's in delivering.
And our additional funding was focused towards Project Corkery, wasn't it? Because I do
right. This is actually funded heavily through the tourism reset funding, which requires that it's Nelson Tasman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further questions? No, there's no questions from the chamber. So back to Fiona and Meg. Anything further today you want to present? No? We're all...
No, I think if there's no more questions, on behalf of the board, I do want to thank Fiona and Fiona's team and for all of their hard work. This team works, as does everyone on this call, but works really hard in making sure that this region is prosperous and has the region plan in the future for 10 years plus. So just thank you to the team.
Thanks, Megan. Look, I'd endorse that certainly as I'm looking in the room, and I'm not sure that but you're quite little on my screen, but I think I can see Tony and Sarah and Mark and Hannah and Tracy. I think that's who's there. I think I've got that right. So great. So thank you very much for all of the work that you have done. It's just and it really has. It's been 2 years of being very, very stretched, but also being incredibly resourceful, and the feedback, that 100% promoter score reflects absolutely what I'm hearing. I just want to acknowledge the other board members who are here today, Sarah Jane Weir and Marina Hurst-Tristram, and say thank you to you as well. We ask a lot, I know, of you as board members, and you give even more than we ask for. It's and it really, really does make a difference. I know you also, as board members, involved in many other activities, including running your own businesses. So it is. We're just very grateful for your service to the region, and it really is making a difference. So thank you, Meg. Thank you, Fiona, and hopefully we'll have a few weeks of a fabulous summer to enjoy, not too far away, and come back refreshed into the new year and to continue the fine work. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora. All right, that's the conclusion of the Regional Development Agency matters. We have one item that's still remaining, I think, in public, which is the submission to government. I think that's the one. Oh, and the annual report. So we'll do both of those at 4, and that just gives me a little bit. That's what I decided earlier, wasn't it, Robin? It was. Okay. All right. So now we're ready to go into public excluded. So I'm back into confidential business to deal with the remaining matters in confidential, and moved by Councillor Brand, seconded by Councillor Skinner. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. And we'll just do the changeover